Hello, Cal Wodrowski here, and in this lesson I want to talk just a little bit about the terminology that I'll be using throughout this series of lessons when it comes to turns. We're going to be teaching a lot of moves and patterns for this dance in all of the upcoming lessons, and since virtually all of the moves and patterns consist of one or more turns in one direction or the other by either the lady, the gentleman, or both, I'll be using the terms inside turn and outside turn a lot. Therefore, I want to clarify those terms as they relate to these lessons. Now, I'm not sure how many dance instructors worry about using what would be considered the correct technical names of turns. I have a feeling that many dance instructors probably don't worry about it, but I just want to let you know that I'm not necessarily using the correct technical terms. And with Shelly's help, I'm going to spend the next 3 or 4 minutes to explain how we're going to be using the terms inside turn and outside turn throughout these lessons. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, from a technical standpoint, some would suggest, in proper dance terms, that an inside and outside turn has to do with where the follower's hand is going in relationship to a center line between the leader and the follower. So if you imagine a center line between us, whether it's a vertical line going up and down like a pole or it's a line between us, from a technical standpoint, if I turn the lady away from that line, that would be considered an outside turn. If I turn her towards that center line, it would be considered an inside turn. Where it can start to get confusing a little bit, especially with the rhythm two-step, and many people will tend to agree that this can all get a little bit confusing, is a turn, as I just mentioned, that's an outside turn here. If I was to take and lead her with this hand, becomes an inside turn. So she's doing the same thing, but that's an outside turn. This is an inside turn. And then the same would apply on the other. From a technical standpoint, this is an inside turn because her hand is going to that inside of that line. If I lead her this way, that's considered an outside turn. So what we want to focus on here, I want to let you know that we're not necessarily going to be using the technically correct terms when we're talking about inside and outside terms for that reason. What I want to spend a moment on is focus how we are going to use those terms. In a nutshell, if the lady's turning clockwise, it's going to be an outside turn. It doesn't matter how I'm leading it. So if she is turning this way, which is an outside turn for her, or clockwise, I'm sorry, that's a clockwise turn for her. It doesn't matter if I'm leading it my left hand, her right, my right hand, her left, or I'm leading her with both hands. In that case, and that's another example of where it would get confusing if you use the center line. What if you use them both hands? It's a little, It's like half and half.
If she's turning clockwise, then it's an outside turn.
Yeah, the way we're going to be doing it, if you're turning clockwise, it's an outside turn. If she's turning counterclockwise, it's an inside turn. Gentlemen, for us, if we're turning this way, that's going to be outside turn. And if we turn this way, it's going to be inside. One way that might help, this is a way that I kind of think about it in my mind, and I don't know if I learned this somewhere along the way, but this, as we've talked about, is the closed position. Another position is an open position. This is an open position, or we've got the promenade position, which would be like this. In my mind, to some extent, we're kind of hinged here when we're dancing. So in my mind, to some extent, if she turns this way, she's going outside, or kind of turning out away from this hinged area. If she's coming in here, she's coming inside. And same thing with me. If I go this way, I'm going outside. So if that helps, consider that. But again, this is not technically all correct, but I want to make sure that we're on the same page. So throughout these lessons, if we're talking about a lady's outside turn, if she's going that way, it doesn't matter how I let her. If she goes that way, that is an outside turn, and so forth. So I'm hopeful that that helps clarify that because we're going to be using the terms inside and outside turns quite a bit throughout these lessons. So very good, thank you.